do.
Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to Truth Unveiled with me, your host Riaz Ahmed on MessageTv. Previous programs, perhaps you have watched our previous programs. We discussed on the issue of Ahwaz and many other controversial issues. As you are aware that this program is all based on discussing the most controversial issues which are not discussed on many mainstream media or the TV channels. Today's program is regarding the situation of Bahrain. Bahrain is a tiny island with a population of 1.3 million, which consists of 50% of the Sunnis and 45% of the Shias, and the rest 5% is the Christians, Jews, Buddhists and atheists. In the recent months, or almost a year now, there have been a lot of riots and protests in Bahrain, which actually resulted in a loss of many innocent lives. And what are these riots about? What are these protests about? Who is behind these riots and protests which have taken many innocent lives? And what is the motive of these people behind these riots and protests? To discuss on this, I have a very special guest here with me today, who is a freelance British-based journalist and human rights activist. It's Amjad Taha Yassin. Welcome, Amjad. It's good to have you here again.
Thanks for having me.
In the previous program, we discussed on the issue of Ahwaz. You've done a great job. You had a lot of feedback from our viewers. Now, this time, you have brought a lot of information on the situation in Bahrain. As I said in the beginning, there is a lot of protests, there are a lot of riots, there's a lot of terror in that part of the Middle East. Now, first of all, what I would like to know, or our viewers would like to know, is who are the people behind these riots and protests, and what is or what are their motives?
Thanks for having me first. During the few weeks that leading up to the 14th of February, which is the anniversary date of the Shia-led riots in Bahrain, I went to Bahrain to witness what is happening there, what is happening in Bahrain, to witness the first hand of what exactly was going on in Bahrain. In regards to Bahrain, I mean, to start with, beginning, before answering your question, the first thing I realized upon reaching there was that Bahrain was a beautiful kingdom, rich in culture and agriculture, and also it's
an oil-rich island as well.
Even the architecture there is very rich architecture as well. I also myself visited the Bahrain Parliament and many government institutions, where I witnessed how the women are presented equally represented, and how minorities such as the Shia community and also the Christianity and the Judaism and so on were represented, and they were given their rights and freedom there in those institutions. However, what I witnessed from, going back to your question, what I witnessed from the Shia opposition gang on the street, on Christian or a Muslim or a Jew who was making those riots or protesting with those people.
Now, what you're saying here is what I understand from what you just said is that the people who are actually the motivators of these riots, they are Shias, the Shia organizations.
Exactly.
So what do they actually want? Why do they motivate these kind of terrorizing actions and get people to go on the streets? I've watched a few of the videos which you have made and a few other videos on the internet where I've seen a lot of, if those actions were actually committed here in the UK, they would have been come under those people who have started these kind of things, they would have been labeled as terrorists. Indeed. Because there is a lot of terrorism going on in these the protests. Now, these are not peaceful protests. These are very violent protests, as I discovered that many innocent lives have been lost as well. Why do they organize these kind of terrorizing protests in Bahrain?
Well, mainly those who are protesting or those who are causing these riots in Bahrain, mainly they want an Islamic republic just like Iran, and they don't want an Islamic republic, but they want it exactly how Ayatollahs to be in Iran. And they also receive messages from the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, and he himself, the director, or what they see him as the director of the rioters and the protesters there. So these people mainly, they want something like Iran, in a state, a copy-paste of the Iranian state. They want another one, another Ahmadinejad in Bahrain, and not the freedom, the peaceful country that they're having now.
In other words, they want to import Ayatollahism from Iran into Bahrain.
Yeah, and they also carry the hate against any Christians or even Sunni Muslims, any other Muslim apart from Shiaism. They have this hate, this kind of disliking the other, or disliking thee if he's not from Shia. And this all motivation comes from Iran and many Persian Iranian lecturers who are who are supporting this kind of hates against the Bahraini citizens.
So what did you actually let's start from number one. What was the first shocking thing that you discovered when you went to Bahrain?
Well, I visited many places, such as Smahij and many other villages in Bahrain. This is, the clip that we will watch now is this is the first place I visited in Sitra al-Qarya and Sitra al-Qarya, and then we moved to Krana, which is another village, and in both places I was stopped from filming. And I could see, and the reason for that, because I could see everyone carrying white weapons, such as white weapons with their faces covered. And a freedom fighter should not cover his face at all, unless you're a criminal. Thus, they were covering their faces, and I could see some Molotovs, fire bombs, knives, and other various dangerous weapons in their hands. It's clear. It's clear from this clip that they do not want to be filmed. They do not want to be filmed, right. And they want people not to be there. They don't want a journalist to attend there and see their crime and what they're committing. They don't want their crimes to be exposed. And the gangs, to be honest, they are gangs. The way they're doing it is gangs, is a thugs, gangs kind of construction. The gangs carry out their propaganda by orchestrating scenes in front of the media cameras. For example, they block the road. They block the roads. And what happens next? They set the fire and they use their weapons at the police. And the next stage is when the police defend themselves. They film the police and show the stage side of the story.
Right. So all this, the agenda behind all this is that they want to topple the present Muslim government of Bahrain, so they can import Ayatollahism into Bahrain. Now, what about their human rights? Because they are minority, 45% are the Shias. what are the situation of their human rights, the basic human rights? Are there Shias who are school teachers in Bahrain? Do they have their own schools? Do they have their own education system? Are they given all these basic human rights?
So everywhere, in every institution, you find a Shia, and it's very normal. It's funny to say that those police who attack the rioters, or they defend themselves, they defend the public from those rioters.
It's the police that defending the civilians from these thugs.
Exactly.
And the police gets attacked by them.
Some of those police themselves, policemen, they're also Shia.
Right, okay.
So the problem here, the main problem is, these people are thugs and gangs, supported by some people such as Nabil Rajab and others, who call themselves a human rights activist. However, when I spoke to those thugs and gangs and those who are protesting, riots, let's call it whatever you want, those people themselves, they say, we stage this thing, we stage it, we video it, we send it to our human rights spokesperson.
Right. So what other steps is the Bahrain government taking to stop these criminals from committing these kind of terrorism on the island?
It's almost very hard for the
because it's been a whole year now, and in a whole year in such a small place, these kind of things could not have been controlled by the government.
The people are staging this place, and they wait for the police to attend. So the problem is the government can't stop these people from making the riots, because if you want to stop those people from attending on the street and making this kind of riots, you have to use kind of power. And when the government wants to use the power to stop these people from making the riots, it be condemned by many organizations. And this is the main problem.
Right, we're going to show our viewers a few clips as well. As we're discussing, you will see the few clips which Amjad has actually shot himself while he was in Bahrain. And we can discuss as well. The next clip the viewers are watching, what is this clip about?
As we can see here, the Shia opposition party exploits children by using them at the planned protests, and it's planned protests. We're watching this part now, and the children aged. This child is aged 13 years old. Apart from being nearly run over by a car, is placed in a dangerous position late night, and he was given no knowledge about the event at all, and was just given a job as parking attendant for a member of the members of the Al-Wafaq party. Simply abuse of child labor. The children are used here. Again, I'm questioning this person, why you attending here, your reason for attendance. He refused to know, and he doesn't know. He says, I don't know what I'm here for.
He's just being used, but he doesn't know the purpose, because he's been paid a few dollars just to attend this car
exactly,
park.
About 20 dinars.
And risking his own life as well.
Exactly.
A small child.
The children are used by the party and their radical parents to attend the planned event, and are seen as just numbers. And the children are brainwashed and have no proper knowledge of what they are part of. We're just going to continue looking at this, some clips.
Now, this is, if the human rights organizations actually watch this video clip, they would clearly say that this is a child labor and putting the children's lives at risk. Mm-hmm. So has anyone said or pointed out anything about these radical groups using these children and putting their lives in danger as well? Have you discussed this with anyone here in the UK?
We have discussed this with many lawyers now in regard to child labor in the Arab Gulf, in Bahrain, by radical groups, such as even Al-Wafaq, which calls itself very liberal. And there was a recent article in regard to this case and child labor, and how people are threatening children and taking children into the roads, to block the roads, and there was a case in regard to that. Louisa Francis, who is a human rights lawyer on ABC Tales, she wrote an article in that regards, and she condemned the child labor as well as...
No, I have read that article actually, yes.
Indeed. So she condemned it, and many lawyers are following these cases because we have videos, many videos. This is one example, one simple example of the child labor that is being carried on by the Shia radical groups in Bahrain.
Now, as from what you've told us, we understand that it's not just these organizations on their own. They're not weak or small organizations who are just looking for a bit of attention, but there is a bigger power behind these organizations. How much you think is that big power, or in clear words, Iran, supporting these organizations, and what evidences could you give?
Well, we have many evidence in regards to that. I myself, when I attended Bahrain, there was a clear in many people's houses, and in many clips later on will show Khamenei is the supreme leader of Iran. Khamenei's big picture, big posters in people's house, and they just show that how much respect they got for this person, and whatever he says is like the words of God. That's how they take it and they apply it. Iran strongly fund these people, the radical groups there, the extreme groups there in Bahrain. Iran support them by using Al-Alam channel, the Press TV channels, all Iranian channels 24/7. They speak about Bahrain as if there is a revolution there, while it's very clear riots are taking place.
So for them it probably is a revolution, because they want to topple the Sunni government and bring in the Ayatollahism in Bahrain. Now, there's been a lot of confrontation between America, Israel and Iran. Now, a lot of people actually fear now that America or Israel may attack Iran, because this has been going on for years. But we can see the analysts many of these analysts and the freelance journalists like yourself, they think that America or Israel would never attack Iran or its territories or its nuclear weapon industry. What is your opinion on this? Do you think that these are just the dialogues? This is just as, like some people believe, that this is just like making the Iranian regime stronger in the part of Middle East, in Middle East and in the other Islamic countries? Or do you think that America is serious about this attack that it keeps on mentioning and Israel keeps on mentioning?
Mainly Iran is a free...
Just briefly we're going to discuss on this, then we come back to the Bahrain situation.
Mainly I see it as a free advertisement for Iran. Free advertisement for Iran. And the Iranian nuclear program has been continued for very long now, and Iran is continuing to build up a nuclear bomb. And no one stops them. No one has stopped them. And to come back to this, I mean, it was during the 19th when France and Germany, they were the ones who helped Iran to build this, to start their nuclear program. And they haven't stopped it. And it was since then. It wasn't at the 2002 or 2003. It started before that, in the 90s. Since then, Iranian nuclear program. So if there was anyone to stop it, they could have stopped it long time ago.
We've been hearing about this Iranian nuclear program for almost 2 decades, and we've been hearing that America is going to stop Iran. But so far, what people have seen is, instead of stopping Iran, America has invaded Afghanistan, and then America has invaded Iraq. But nothing has been done about stopping the Iranian nuclear production.
The regime which was in Afghanistan was almost against Iranian regime, and America, the United States of America, toppled that government, toppled this regime in Afghanistan. They brought it down. So that was in Iranian interest, and they also. Saddam Hussein government in Iraq, it was very obvious, pretty obvious, against the Iranian regime. And again, the Saddam Hussein government and the Iraqi thingy government, it was toppled, and they brought it down. two governments who were against Iran, they were toppled, and now it's in Iran just to stay there and to lead.
So far, what we've seen, what people have seen, is that Iran has not been touched. Iran has been given a lot of mouthing by America and Israel, but it has been the other way around. Instead of stopping Iran from building these nuclear weapons, it is those nations who are against Iran, they're the ones who have been invaded and their countries have been destroyed.
I mean, when we see a terrorist in a country, we go and attack them and remove these terrorist people. For example, if you had a terrorist attack in UK today, all the European Union will get involved and remove these terrorists from being here in UK. However, Iran today, Iranian regime, Iranian revolutionary guards are killing the Syrian people inside Syria. Yes, there is no one to speak about Iran and Iranian people being there and the Iranian regime being there killing the Syrian people. There is no one to speak about this. Okay. So there is this kind of cover it for Iran. They just put it under the carpet for Iran.
Sure. Now, next clip that we're going to show our viewers, what you got in the next clip? And where did you visit this time?
This time I attended one of the events that they had in Al-Muqashshar. If we're just going to look at this video.
Right.
Yeah, this is Al-Muqashshar, and I saw how the events are used for business, illegal trades.
Now, when you say events, what are these events?
Well, they're meant to be events. They call it striking.
They look like carnivals. They look like the Notting Hill Gate Carnival that we have here in the UK.
Indeed. And the events, as you can see here, and one man that I asked, he said he makes $1,000 per day.
There is a lot of illegal trade.
Illegal trades there.
In this carnival.
I mean, in this following clip, we'll see the carnival events that the radical groups claim to the media and the world as being a revolutionary, kind of revolutionary protest or strikes. Right. As you mentioned, it's like Notting Hill Carnival. As we saw, I myself saw an expensive cars that many are not even privileged to own in UK. Beds, as you can see in this video now, beds inside the tents, girls and boys dating each other, man and woman conducting what they call the temporary marriage as the muta.
So this all happens in this carnival.
In this strike.
But it's called strike.
Yeah, it's called strike.
But actually, it is something else. Behind the scenes is something different.
The pictures now we're watching, the videos that we're watching, it makes it very clear. It's carnival. It's
for a couple of hours they have these temporary marriages.
And this was in many, exactly.
Now this is not from Islam. This is not Islamic concept of having muta, which means a temporary marriage. Right.
I mean, for our, in general, party atmosphere, that's what they have in there. I have documented all these documents, all these events that took place, and I have contacted channels such as the CNN and the Fox News, and many more channels. Many are already making the contract of documenting they're making the contract for my documentation to be broadcast on their network, hopefully. And we hope that the world opens their eye, the world open their eyes to the hypocrisy and the deception from the radical groups in Bahrain.
Now, according to your understanding, if these kind of strikes or these terrorist organized protests keep on taking place, it's been over a year now and nothing has been able to stop these protests, violent protests. Now, if they keep on going for another year, what do you think would be the fate of Bahrain, this beautiful island?
The fate of Bahrain, if it carries on like this, and these radical groups are not stopped, if no one stops this radical group, Bahrain is heading to become an Iranian state. Another example of Iranian state where human rights is abused, where there is
a violation of human rights.
Violation of human rights.
most probably it would become another Ahwaz.
Another Ahwaz, and this is what many people are scared of. I mean, as we can see in this video clip, the very short one, as my camera angle shows now here, the old member of the radical Shia parties are ordering children to block the roads and cause disruption. As you can see, there is no police at all.
So it's all children being used to block the roads, burning the tires, all those kind of things.
Yeah, and as you can see, there is no one blocking I mean, there is no police.
There's no police.
And there is nothing that makes you stop. I mean, why are you blocking the road? What's the main reason for you to block? And this is in Krana village in Bahrain. And as you can see, there is no police and nobody attacking them, but they themselves are provoking police action.
Obviously, this is openly a provocation.
Yeah.
When there's nobody there, there's no police, there's no security forces, nobody there. And I don't see nobody, I mean, even the viewers would think that what is making them, blocking these roads.
They themselves are provoking police action. And most of all causing grievance for the Bahraini peace-loving people. Again, abuse of children's rights. Because he's a child, he's just been told to do something.
It's all the Shia children. They are all the Shia children, mainly are the Shia children. Now, what part of the other religious sects play in these kind of protests? Are there any Christians involved? Are there Jews involved? Or are there any? I mean, there are Buddhists as well as atheists. And what are these people taking any step against these protests, violent protests?
I was in Bahrain for nearly a month, and I attended all their events and all their protests and all their riots, to be honest. And I couldn't find one Christian or any person from other faiths as Muslim, Christianity, Buddhism, any.
But they claim that it is the general Bahrainian public.
It's not.
But it's not. There's no Muslims, there's no Jews, there's no Christians, Buddhists, or even the atheists involved in these organized terrorist acts, apart from the Shias.
Many churches in Bahrain condemn. They condemn those people for making those riots and blocking the roads for no reason, and they killed many police forces. And they say it. I mean, I documented this, and it was on Al Arabiya channel. They attack police for no reason. They say we attack them. They see the police as an enemy. They see the rest of the public as enemy. And they just want to live. I mean, they ask for freedom, but your freedom, you have to remember, your freedom ends when you attack others' freedom.
Sure. Now, there are Saudi governments, there are other Arab states. Are they doing anything about this? Do they not have any army or security forces that they can send in and intervene and stop this violence in Bahrain? Saudi
Arabia forces, they try their best not to get involved in Bahrain. However, they assist the Bahraini people in protecting themselves from those riots which are funded by Iran.
But how can those Bahraini people defend themselves from those groups, these terrorist groups, who are funded by such a powerful country as Iran?
Well, it's very difficult. At this situation, the Bahraini people are left defenseless. They can't defend themselves, and the government trying their best not to use any action against those riots, just in case they commit any abuse against the human rights.
Okay, let's watch the next clip, viewers, and see actually we have Amjad here, who has taken a big risk. You had life-threatening messages as well from the Shias, these terrorist groups as well over there in Bahrain. Tell us a bit about that first, then we play the clip.
Sure, I mean,
I've read the last message. I've read the message on your phone, which you were sent while you were there.
And they use very filthy
and a very dirty language has been used, and they've threatened you. I think the person who sent you this message, if he could ever get hold of you, he would harm you really badly, wouldn't he?
Well, this person himself, he represents Al-Haq party in Bahrain, and also Hezbollah in Bahrain. So those people who are the people who are sending me all these death threats. However, truth hurts, and I am not afraid. I'm a journalist there, and I will always reveal the truth no matter what. I received these death threats. And they also, on their, as you can see on this picture,
Sure.
This is a website for the Shia radical groups who are in Bahrain now, for the rioters. And here in this website, it says in Arabic, break. If you see him, break his camera and break his wrist.
This is about you.
About myself, yes. And they say break his. And they said that I did not inform them who I was. However, this is on Al-Bilad newspaper, as you can see here. This is on Al-Bilad, and this is me here on the 29th of January.
Sure.
Al-Bilad newspaper, and Bahrain is a very small country, and Al-Bilad newspaper is well known in Bahrain, which means at least one of those people who were making those riots read what I had to say. And I was here speaking about Iranian agenda in Bahrain and how Iran himself, they abuse human rights. I was very clear when I entered Bahrain. This is me, Amjad, freelance journalist, coming here to discover Bahrain.
Sure.
Whatever it is, I have to discover. And I was a human rights activist. I went there and I saw it myself. I did not force no one to speak. They were the people who are coming to the camera and speaking.
You even mentioned that the cameraman they provided for you, he was a Shia as well.
Jafar himself, he's a Shia. He was the one who directing this. Wherever we go, he's holding the camera.
Right.
Which means, again, I am not forcing them to speak. And they are the ones who are taking me to these places.
Right.
They themselves. However, this Shia guy, Jafar, he was kidnapped. And this is ridiculous. They act like they are authority inside the.
And that was because he was shooting those videos. The videos for you.
As they see it, he went very wrong. He went against them. However, he was showing the truth. He was kidnapped by those radical groups. And again, kidnapping a human being for being on a channel and sending death threats to myself. And also the head of Al-Arabiya office in Bahrain, Muhammad Al-Arab. Muhammad Al-Arab received many death threats. Why is that? Since when? I mean, if it's a revolution, why hurting the journalist? He's coming to cover your news. What are you doing?
They threatened to kill the journalist.
And why are you kidnapping your own people? This is a popular Shia scholar in Bahrain. I pursued at one of the Al-Wifaq demonstration events. I asked him, as you can see here, I asked him what he was doing here. What was he doing there? What was his job there?
He's a scholar.
He's a scholar.
And
he's a scholar in Bahrain.
Yes, he's in one of the protests?
In the demonstration.
In the demonstrations, yes.
Yeah, and I asked him what he was doing there, and as you can see, he told me rather amusingly, he said, I don't participate in a political events. My question is, what are you doing here? This is a political event. And and he said, I'm not a politician. I asked him, what are your political views? And he told me, put your camera down and we'll talk.
Then did you talk?
And we spoke. It was very clear. Have you seen? I mean, I don't know if these people have been in Iran or not, but he said, have you seen how democratic is Iran? I don't think he speaks about Iran. He hasn't been in Iran. He wants something like Iran.
He's probably talking about his own imaginary Iran.
Imaginary Iran. And he said, we want something like Iran. He himself, obviously, if he becomes like Iran, he's a scholar, he'll probably become another Ayatollah in Bahrain. So this is the position. He almost advertising his own ideologies and agendas.
Okay.
And to show how much Iran has been inside Bahrain and how far Iran went inside Bahrain, I visited many of their houses, and here in this last clip, Yeah, I visited many of their houses, and it was very clear that they passionately support Khamenei, and they saw him as their own spiritual leader, almost their God. Whatever he orders, he gave. Whatever orders he gave, or he gave, they applied it. They apply them straight.
I have come across a few videos as well on the internet where I've seen people carrying pictures of Ayatollah, which is another sign that they actually want Ayatollahism in Bahrain. Now, what about the people that you have spoke to in this country, in the UK? How much support are you getting? I know you got loads of followers on the social media, you have followers on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else. But what are your future plans? What more do you want to show to the people, and what you expect? What kind of a support do you expect from the people around the world? Not just in the UK, but as I said, you have followers all over the world through the social media, Facebook and YouTube.
To be honest, my message is very clear. Seek the truth no matter what. This is my main message. Seek the truth no matter what. These people are preventing us from seeking the truth. And when I went to Bahrain, I'm now facing the death threats. And it's worth mentioning that members of those websites are apparently supporters of the Nabil Rajab, who calls himself as a human rights activist.
Right. Even on your previous program, videos that the MessageTv has uploaded on the channel, I have actually seen many comments against you, and a lot of harsh language has been used against you just for speaking against the Iranian regime in Ahvaz. Now, what do you think is going to happen now once, I mean, you brought the whole truth here in front of millions of people out there who will be watching this program. Then what about, I mean, putting aside the fate of Bahrain, what will be your own fate?
My fate, as I told you, I will carry on discovering the truth. This is a very direct message to Iran. Wherever you are, the regime, I will follow you to discover the truth.
Well, is that all we have for this program now? And thank you very much, viewers. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for all your feedback. Watch this program. Give us your feedback. Leave the comments, whether on Facebook, on the MessageTv website, or on YouTube, wherever. Until next time, actually in the next program, we'll be discussing the fate of Pakistan and the role of Shiaism. So next program, we will be discussing what the Shia activities are in Pakistan and what is the fate of Pakistan, whether India is the greatest enemy of Pakistan or is it Iran that is the greatest enemy of Pakistan. Until next time, you take good care of yourself, look after the people around yourself, and spread love and peace. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum. Goodbye. Thank you very much, Amjad. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.